If you're not in that realm, then this may not mean anything to you aside from the fact that you have to have a different type of mentality in order to succeed in business, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, being self-employed even. And if nothing else, I hope you can take from this that the mindset that's needed is the mindset that I think, whether or not you're actually an entrepreneur from a business standpoint, what it takes to succeed and be different in life.
The Mark Biggs Show.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Mark Biggs Show. Super excited to have you with me today. First and foremost, again, always want to start and say thank you. Anybody that takes the time out of their busy schedule to listen to me and the guests that I have on, that means a lot to me. So first and foremost, I just want to say thanks. And I would ask that you would like and share this wherever you listen to this, whether it be Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever the case may be. I'm not monetizing this by any means, but just expanded reach is always good. So I'm trying to build my brand, and I'm trying to provide as much value as I can to as many people as I can reach. So if you would like it and share, that would mean the world to me. And once again, just thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I've been doing it for a little over a year now, so it's kind of exciting for me. I thought about starting this podcast before I actually did, but I knew that the timing wasn't right. I wasn't committed enough. And so the last year has been really special to me. I've had a lot of special conversations with people that mean a lot to me, people that are respected, people that know a lot in their respective fields on this podcast, and it's been so good for me, and I hope that it's done the same thing for you. I hope it's provided you some type of value, whether you've listened to every episode or if you've listened to just one or anything in between. I just want to say thank you, and I hope that you'll understand that I'll continue to sharpen my saw, so to speak, and make sure that I'm bringing value to you and your family and whatever industry and stage of life that you're in. You know, it's a journey regardless of what your goals are, what your ambitions are, what your dreams and hopes are. And I hope that, if nothing else, my ambition inspires you, if nothing else. I have a lot of big goals and aspirations for myself and ambitions that I don't even know if they're attainable, to be honest with you. But I think at the core of who I am, that if something is put inside my heart and my mind, and it's something that after I think on it for longer than 15, 20 minutes, that it's something that I think can be done, I can do it. That's been one of my flaws too. Obviously, I shoot very high. I have big goals, and so sometimes that comes with failure, crash and burn, all the different things. I've been through all those types of things in my life, but that doesn't deter me. I think I was put here to share my story. I think I was put here to inspire people to dream a little bit bigger than maybe they already do. And it's not that people don't have big dreams, but sometimes they just need some type of nudge from the universe to say, hey, keep going. You're in the right direction. That thought's in your head for a reason. That dream's in your heart for a reason. And so if nothing else, I hope I can provide that for you. And so I just want to say thanks. I'm super grateful, and I'm excited to continue to grow this thing and see where it goes. Hopefully have some special guests to you guys and continue to have special guests to me, sit in this chair next to me and just talk about life, talk about whatever it is that they got going on. I love to use it as a platform for people to be able to share their story and expand their reach and provide value to you. And that's the whole point of them being here. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about a couple different things that they don't tell you about owning your own business. I don't want to say the ugly side of owning your own business, but the not so positive things. We talk about all the positive things when it comes to being self-employed, owning your own business, being an entrepreneur. The upside, the income earning potential, the bright lights, the 1,000 clients, this, that, and the other thing. But they don't usually talk about the downside of what it means to be a business owner, to be self-employed, to be an entrepreneur, all those things. So I just want to highlight those. And if you're not in that realm, then this may not mean anything to you aside from the fact that you have to have a different type of mentality in order to succeed in business, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, being self-employed even. And if nothing else, I hope you can take from this that the mindset that's needed is the mindset that I think, whether or not you're actually an entrepreneur from a business standpoint, what it takes to succeed and be different in life. And one of the main things I want to talk about, number one, is the fact of the stress that comes with owning your own business. Now, there's stresses in life, whether it be not earning enough money at your job. There's stresses about familial relationships, children, marriages, all those various things. There's stresses that come with anything in life. So, stress itself is not something that's only sitting with business owners and entrepreneurs. However, it's just a different type of stress, and that's kind of what I want to highlight. So if you're in your own business, if you're thinking about starting your own business, starting a side hustle, this is something that you obviously, if you haven't considered, you need to. And it's not to deter you, but it's just to be upfront. The stress that comes with it, I think, is different than any other type of stress for a couple of different reasons. Number one, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, when you're self-employed, you wake up every day essentially unemployed. And so what that means is you don't know where your next quote unquote paycheck is going to come from. If I don't come to the office and continue to strive to produce for my clients and go out and garner new clients, then there's no income that's going to be generated. Basically, you don't get paid just for showing up. And some people, that's what deters them. And that's honestly a respectable and honorable reason to not be self-employed, to be an entrepreneur, all those things, because there is different stress coming with you don't know where your next paycheck's going to come from. Now, upside earning potential in most self-employed businesses or entrepreneurial type businesses are typically uncapped. So you've got some big income earning limits. If your industry allows you to make good money, then that ability is there also. However, just for showing up and, making a couple calls and coming in the office and turning the lights on and hoping somebody walks in, there's no guarantee that you're going to get any revenue or any business or any income from that. So that comes with its own type of stress from a planning standpoint. You got to make sure from a financial perspective that you've got a budget, kind of what your expenses are. I've got X amount of dollars saved up so that if I don't make any money this month, I can pay my bills and do the things that my family needs, all those types of things. So there's a different stress that comes with it because you don't necessarily know where your next paycheck's coming from. And for some people, that's the most crippling stress that sends them back into the normal 9-to-5 workforce. And hear me when I say there's nothing wrong with the 9-to-5 workforce by any means, because there's plenty of stresses that come along with that. And so I'm not trying to act like one's easier than the other. I'm just a self-employed entrepreneur that owns his own business. So this is the stress that I deal with that I think should be highlighted a little bit more often, because so many people nowadays in the social media era just talk about, the glitz and the glamour of owning your own business. The word entrepreneur is like a cool term now, whereas a lot of people experience the burnout just trying to get and scratch and claw to the point to where they can breathe a little bit financially by owning their own business or being self-employed. And that's what burns them out, and they go right back to a job or whatever, and it kills that dream. And so there's some stress that comes along with that, as well as, a couple other things that I think I'm kind of put on myself is the fact of the matter is every decision I make as a business owner doesn't only affect me. So I have 4 full-time people that work for me, and then during tax season, we usually hire 1 or 2 part-time people to help us with, answering calls and greeting clients and checking people out, this, that, and the other thing. So having 4, 5, 6 different people rely on your decision making from top down brings its own stress as well. And so there's plenty of nights and moments where it's just the weight of a decision can be crippling, and it's heavy, and sometimes it's hard to carry. And that's why I don't think that this type of work is for everyone, because there's a different weight that comes with that. Because if I make a decision inside of the office that ends up costing me a lot of money, that could potentially mean I can't afford to pay one of the people that work for me. If I turn the ship in the wrong direction, it puts the business on a decline. There's families potentially that are affected by that, because it's not just 5 or 4 people or 5 people that work for me. It's their families as well. And their families are affected by their income earning potential and their job security, so to speak, and all the various things that come along with that. It's a trickle down effect. So I have to make sure that the decisions that I make are grounded in, research and due diligence. And, obviously gut feeling is a big thing for me. I trust my gut, and I usually go after what I feel like is right and make the decisions that I feel like is right. And sometimes when you're the owner, you're the be all end all, you're the, last link on the chain, so to speak, it all kind of rides on you. But that's the whole point, right? Like that's what gets me up out of bed every morning, because that's the inspiration for me, is like, it's all riding on me today. I can't, just because I don't feel great, or I've had a rough stretch in the office, lost out a couple clients, or, didn't close the business that I thought I was going to close. That doesn't mean that I can, lay in bed all day and just take that day and just chalk it up, because every single day I've got to be moving the ball down the field, number one, to inspire the people that work with me to continue to pursue their goals and ambitions and aspirations. But also I've got to steer the ship, so to speak, in the right direction so that those opportunities are there for them as time goes on. If I, only rely on how it's going at the office, my family's going to be affected, my kids are going to be affected, but then the people that work for me are going to be affected too. Because if I am only reliant on being up and happy and motivated and, inspired when things are good, that's no good for anyone involved. You want wartime generals to be at the head of these types of organizations. Anybody can be a general when there's peace, right? There's nothing going on the battlefield. It's easy to be that 5-star general standing in the background directing traffic because there's nothing to worry about. It's when things are not going great, or there is some bumps in the road, or it is a rocky patch, that you see who the true leaders are. And one of the things that I pride myself on from a leadership standpoint is, regardless of how it's going inside of my particular office, like if I've closed all the deals that I've had in front of me over the last 4 or 5 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, or I've missed every single one of them and haven't closed a bit, I want the people that work for me and with me to feel the same energy from me regardless. I think a key trait of great leaders is that regardless of what's going on outside the four walls or how the business is operating or moving at that point, they shoulder that stress and don't let it filter down to the people that work with them and work under them, because that's what I think great leaders do. They shoulder that and they stomach that. And in order to do that, you have to make sure that you're sharp. Your mindset's in the right place. And that's why I spend so much time. People think some of the things that I share or that I post or that I think or that I say are, kind of cliche, but at the end of the day, it's all the bread for the head, right? Like if you're feeding yourself positive affirmation with what you're listening to, what you're watching, who you're listening to, that stuff eventually filters itself down into the way that you operate. And so if you're just filling yourself with the negativity that's with social media or with politics or with whatever the case may be, that negativity is also going to filter down inside of you and out of you to the people that are in close vicinity. So I think it's important that I, and any business leader, to be honest with you, keep their mindset in the right place, making sure that they're taking care of themselves mentally and physically. Mental health is a challenge for a lot of people, and I'd be remiss if I said that mental health isn't a challenge for me too. I'm a very pessimistic person at times. I'm a very realist type of a person, which sometimes leads into the pessimism. I can pick out the negative in a situation pretty quickly. And so I've got to make sure that I'm on my P's and Q's, taking care of myself physically, number one, because taking care of myself physically is what leads me to be in a better place mentally. And so I've got to make sure that I'm staying in the gym, staying on my routine, staying on my work, trying to control my diet best I can. And then on top of that, taking the time to listen to positive things, listen to business leaders, listen to people that I look up to and respect, and put that type of stuff inside of my head so that even when things aren't maybe going the greatest for me, those are the things that are ingrained in my brain and in my system and in my heart to filter out to the people that are around me every day, the people that I work with, my staff and my teammates. And so I think it's so important that business leaders control themselves mentally best they can and physically, because if you're in the best shape that you can be physically and mentally, regardless of how the business is going in that day or that week, you're going to be able to lead effectively. You're going to be able to lead with not an iron fist. Like, you're going to be able to lead with motivation and aspiration and inspiring your team to want more and do more for themselves. And those are the stresses that I think so many people lack in conversation when it talks about being an entrepreneur, owning your own business. And that's the things that I wanted to express, because I think it's important to highlight those things. It's not just a highlight reel like Instagram or Facebook is. Being a business owner is hard because there's stress involved, because you don't know where your next paycheck's coming from. Every decision you make affects not only you, but the people that you work with, which means it affects their families just like it affects yours. And the markets change. That's another thing I wanted to highlight. Regardless of what business you're in, things are constantly changing and evolving, whether it comes to marketing or artificial intelligence, which I think over the course of time I'll talk more about on this podcast, is AI. I'm by no means any AI expert, but I think it's here. It's very early in the stages of AI, but I think it's going to affect every single business industry that it touches, whether it be in a positive or negative way for you specifically. I don't know that answer, but it's here. Just like the internet was a big change and shift in society, I think artificial intelligence is equally as big. But that also presents opportunity for itself. So as markets change and marketing changes, AI, software, technology, all those things continue to adapt and change. How do you stay sharp at your actual craft while you're adapting to what the market says your industry should be doing? And so let me break that down a little bit. So my thought process is, I'm an advisor and an accountant for my clients. So my job is to make sure that I'm giving them the best advice with their money and their investments based on their situation, making sure we're protecting what we need to protect, growing what we need to grow, rates of return, investment decisions, all those various things. All the while, from a completely separate hat, being the owner of a financial advising and accounting practice that's individually owned, independent, and trying to adapt in an ever-changing marketplace. There's different ways to prospect the clients. There's different ways to invest the client's assets if you do get them in front of you. There's different ways to conduct business. There's different ways to handle your marketing. Do you need to be heavy on social media? Do you need to be heavy on live events like I've talked about in the past? Do you need to do both? Do you need to do mailers on top of this? Do you need to do email blasts? Do you need to use artificial intelligence platforms in some way to enhance your offering or enhance the services that you provide your clients? And how do you do that? All the while running alongside both of those is in itself the hard part. So you're trying to be the best advisor, best accountant, all those things you can. But then as a business owner at the same time, you got to be the best business owner you can. You got to adapt to these ever-changing things and technologies and markets and marketing and all those different things. And so those are like some of the challenges. And like, if I was in a product-based business instead of a service-based business, I would have similar but yet different challenges as time goes on. And so that's the ever-changing thing. So never is one day the same as another. And so as a business owner, you've got to continue to look at it from a high-level perspective, like, hey, I'm the decision maker. I'm the final answer to any problem or question that's asked. I have to be able to answer those things while all the while still being as sharp of an advisor and as an accountant as I can at the same time. Because if I'm not effective in what it is that I actually do, then I'm not going to have a business either. And so it's that both and of how do I lead effectively? How do I run a business effectively? But also like actually what I do for my clients. How do I remain as effective and innovative and educated as possible at the same time? So that presents its own set of challenges. So just a few things that were on my mind that, a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to owning your own business or being an entrepreneur, all those things. There's stresses that come with it and they're beautiful at the end of the day. Like I feel so grateful to have the responsibility that 4 people trust me full time with their career and their income earning potential to feed their families based off of my leadership and my guidance. So I don't take it lightly, which is why all these decisions end up being so heavy, is because when there are major decisions involved, that you're not the only one that's affected. So the stress of not knowing how many clients am I going to get? Am I going to continue to grow in the right percentages, so to speak, so that my advisors that are under me can continue to grow their businesses as well? Not knowing if my clients are going to return, which I have great clients and I have great relationships with them. So it's not that I'm worried about them leaving, but it's just, that's one of the things that crosses your mind, right? Like, are they going to show up again next year? Are they going to continue to trust me? People have options. You don't own people. So like they have options with what they do with their finances, with their investments, with their tax returns, all those things. They have choices. So am I doing enough day in and day out to continue to prove my value to them, which in turn leads to, can I feed my family in the appropriate way? And then knowing that every decision I make affects not only me, but 4, 5, 6 other families at the same time is a different type of stress that comes with decision making. Because as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you're making decisions every single day, multiple decisions every day that matter. And then at the same time, wearing both hats of let me be the best business owner I can, taking care of my people, paying my people well, making sure that they're trained up and getting all the knowledge that they need to be able to be successful at what it is they do. Adapting to technologies and AI and the marketplace and learning how to continue to prospect to clients and get new business inside of my doors, all the while making sure that I'm a sharp advisor, sharp accountant to make sure that when I'm sitting in front of somebody, I'm as effective as I can be so that if they're going to be my client, I can close that business and prove my value to them and continue to prove my value to them even after they become a client. And those are the things that are heavy. Those are the things that you sit up at night worrying about, like, did I make the right decision in that moment? Did I make the right decision with that client? Did I make the right decision in that meeting? Did I make the right decision to hire that person or fire that company or this, that, and the other thing? So all those things are just things that aren't as highlighted as much as like the glitz and glamour of being a business owner and, just being filthy rich and, living on an island somewhere when you're 35 years old. So that's really not what it is, just in case anybody's curious. But those are a few of the things that were on my mind about being a business owner specifically. And once again, I know that there are stresses that come with any type of career, family situation, financial situation, anything. So not trying to downplay any other, scenario, just highlighting a couple things that people don't talk about a lot when it comes to owning a business or being an entrepreneur or something like that. So those are things that I don't think should deter anyone. I just think you should know going into it. You have to have a different frame of mind in order to weather the storms of when things are slow, or when you lose business, or when you don't close the business that you thought you're going to have because you needed that money to pay the rent 2 months from now. All those various things, those are just things that aren't talked about that I wanted to put out there so that people can consider when it comes to making the jump to be a business owner, be an entrepreneur, start a side hustle, start your own business, all those kinds of things. But at the same time, those are the things that get me up out of bed every day and fire me up. But at the same time, I've got to, like I said before, I've got to make sure that I'm staying sharp mentally and physically so that I can weather those storms and still be as effective as I can for the people that I'm responsible for. Because I truly think the people that work with me and for me are my family. They're my extended family. And their families are my extended families. And so that's the type of way that I think any leader should lead, is with not only you and your family in mind, but the people that work for you, work with you, them and their families matter too. And the decisions you make affect them. And so I think that's got to go into decision making, especially when you're talking about big decisions inside of your company or your business. And so just want to throw that out there. I hope that's insightful and impactful for you, and I hope that inspires you, not scares you by any means. So that's what gets me up out of bed every day. I'm built a little differently mentally from most, but like I said, out from the onset of this podcast, my ambitions and hopes and aspirations for myself are a little different. But I hope that inspires you to be dreaming big and aspiring for yourself too, because you have those same dreams inside of you that you know is a stretch and a challenge, but I encourage you to go after it. Just know that it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's some ups and downs that go with it, but that's what makes life beautiful. That's what makes entrepreneurship beautiful. So hope this inspires you and finds you well. And I can't wait to see you again on the Mark Big Show. We'll see you soon.